Good Saturday morning. Yes, I know I don't look like my normal done up self on LinkedIn, but it is a Saturday morning. It's 8:30 here on the East Coast, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are joining us. Excuse me while I have some coffee. I just woke up. So a couple of weeks back, I posted I did a LinkedIn post, and I had a couple of people. I was done up in TV makeup for a shoot that I was doing, and I had a couple of people ask me, how do you do makeup for a TV appearance or for a video shoot? And I have a video shoot today. I actually have a shoot for a client today, so I figured I would hop on and sort of walk you through the process that I take when I'm putting on my makeup. This is not a long, drawn out, huge, movie set style makeup situation. I'm going to do something in about 10 to 15 minutes that pretty much everybody can do. And you don't have to do this to show up on video. You don't have to do this to show up on camera. But I know that people have questions about what should I be doing if I want to be doing, makeup a little bit differently than I normally do. So I'm going to walk you through my get ready with me sort of makeup situation. So I start with a primer. I like to use one by Rare Beauty, which is Selena Gomez's brand. And I just put a little bit on my cheeks, mostly because I feel like I'm a little bit more oily there, and it helps the makeup stay a little bit better. Then I take a concealer. So I like to use MAC Cosmetics. They make great video and TV music. This one is NC15 Studio Finish Concealer. Also has a little bit of sunscreen in it. Not that is a deal breaker or make or break, but I like this because it's heavily pigmented. I just take a little brush, get a little bit, and put it in the corner of my eyes. I'm glad I mirrored my video. Otherwise, this would be quite challenging. Little in the corner of my eyes, little in the corner of my nose. And then I don't know what that is right there. I generally use my fingers to blend because I feel like the heat from the warmth from your skin helps blend that in a little bit better. And that's it. That's all I use for concealer. The next thing that I do, where's my makeup bag? There we go. The next thing that I do is foundation. There's a couple of different foundations that I like. This one happens to be really cheap. This is number 7 by Boots, which is a British pharmacy brand, like it's similar to a Target or a CVS, but it's awesome. I love it. It's got a really natural sort of medium finish. If you're looking for something a little bit heavier, there's a couple of brands I would recommend. Number 1 is also MAC Cosmetics. They make a great foundation called Studio Fix. I would go to the store and ask them to get the right shade for you. If you're not sure what shade you are, go slightly darker. Or if you're a combination of 2 shades, if you don't want to buy both, go for the one that's slightly darker. The other 2 brands that are really good, especially if you have a little bit more mature skin, is Il Makiage and Jones Road. Jones Road is a sort of secondary brand of Bobbi Brown. If you're familiar with Bobbi Brown, the makeup artist, she was sort of shot to fame for her neutral and pinky brown lipsticks and lots of natural colors. But she has a new sister brand called Jones Road, and their foundation is fantastic. So I take a little bit of this. Honestly, I just squirt it right on my face. And then I take a brush, my maquillage brush, and I blend it in. Blending is pretty much the key to anything looking decent, whether it's blush or foundation or bronzer or contour or anything like that. Now, this particular foundation has a little bit of a, I don't know what they call it, luminous, right? You can see it's a little bit shiny. I'll cover that up with powder, but I prefer something that has a little bit more of a luminous finish to it rather than matte, only because I feel like matte sort of get stuck in the pores and in the wrinkles of your skin. So that's it for foundation. That's my skin is pretty much done in terms of foundation and concealer. Use a little bit of blush. I like this one by NARS. It's called Orgasm, but it's like a pinky peach color that is good on most shades of skin, most tones of skin. And a MAC brush, a little bit on the apples of my cheeks, up, across the nose. Right now, I'm applying this with a slightly heavier hand, which is what you do when you're getting ready for a TV appearance or you're putting makeup on for video. It is a slightly heavier touch than you might use, a little bit more color than you might use, but also you're blending really, really well, which is the key. Right, so that is blush. Your skin is pretty much done, except for one other thing, which is contour. Contour, and I like this one by Glow, and it's got 4 different shades that you can use. Contour is not something most of us use on the regular when we're putting on makeup or we're getting ready for our day. But when you're on TV or you're on camera and you are sort of flattened from 3D to 2D and you have bright lights that wash features out, having a little bit of contouring can be key. So I really actually don't use this here, which is the matte shade of highlighter. I use the one that has a little soft bit of shimmer in it, and I blend these two, which are the shading colors. And I use these here, slightly underneath the cheekbone. Okay. I use it slightly down side of my nose and underneath. My jawline. And here. And a little bit around top of my forehead. It's my son in the background. Hi, Ben. How are you? Good. So basically, you're doing a little bit of bronzer or contour, sort of in a triangle across the top of your head. Here, 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 and here, here, and down the sides of your nose. Then I take a little bit of the highlighter with the rounded end of the brush. Right? This brush has 2 ends. One is slightly thinner, and then this one is more of a standard round brush. Take a little bit of the highlighter, put it down the center of my nose, tops of my cheekbones, Cupid's bow, and put a little here. I generally would avoid forehead and chin if you're going on TV, but for the sake of demonstration, you can put a little here and a little here. That's more for daily wear though. All right, next thing is shadow. I know a lot of people don't wear shadow anymore. I like to wear shadow when I'm on camera because again, the lights can wash you out. So I use a very soft, neutral brown. This one happens to be, I don't know who makes this one. MAC makes great eyeshadows as well, heavily pigmented. So I use a little bit of the softer brown. And I go through the crease and down along the corner. You can get pretty fancy with eyeshadow in terms of shading and highlighting. I'm not going to go into all of that here because if you're just learning how to do makeup for TV, that's going to be a little bit too complex. I'm going to keep it simple for you. Right? So same thing here, a little bit in the crease and down along the side, the corner. You can go a little heavier in the corner. Okay. Then I take the lighter shade and I apply that in the center of my lid. Okay. Now, in terms of liner, and that's it. You can blend a little bit. Let me find my blending brush. You can blend a little bit. But you don't need to go crazy. And I don't want you to ever feel like you are wearing a face. I don't want you to ever feel like you're completely out of your element, because if you do feel that way, no matter how pristine your application is, if you don't feel like yourself, you're not going to be yourself when you're up in front of the lens or you're making that media appearance. So I want you to take what I'm teaching you now and adjust it or tweak it or change it if you need to, so that it feels more like yourself. If you naturally wear a really bold lip color, then stick with that. If that's your signature color and it's red, and I'm not showing you red, I'm showing you something that's more neutral, stick with what makes you you, but just understand what the camera does to your face, and how the lights can wash you out, and how they can change the angles of your face, and how the makeup application is a little bit different. So for liner, I never like to use a heavy dark liner underneath my eyes when I'm on camera, because I feel like it pulls them down. So I use, again, the same shadow. I use this small pointed brush designed for liner. And I do a very thin line, a soft line underneath. It's not as easy to apply makeup on a camera. Okay. And that's that. Where I do apply liner is on my top lid. And I like to use a black, it's the only time I'll use black liner is on my top lid. And I like to use a gel liner. Gel can be a little bit tricky to apply if you're not comfortable with it. Use a slightly angled brush with some black powder shadow, or use a pencil. Just make sure that it's not a really harsh line. You want it, again, blended. Blending is key. So I like to use a little bit of black gel liner, and then I apply it just on my lashes with a slight upturn, right on the edge. There we go. Next thing is mascara. I like to curl my lashes with one of these. If you feel like your lashes don't curl, one of the things you can do is, excuse me, heat up one of these contraptions with a hair dryer so that it's a little bit warm, and then curl your lashes. And it'll help keep that curl a little bit longer. And then mascara. I'm not using it right now, but one of the brands that I really like is Thrive Cosmetics. They make a great mascara, and so does Tarte. Tarte. All right. Next thing is a little bit of lighter liner. I like to use this on the inner rim of my eyes, because sometimes, especially early mornings, I'm tired. My eyes might be a little bit bloodshot. You know, maybe the skin around them is a little bit red as well if I've been rubbing them or whatever. This neutralizes that and makes your eyes pop. And this is going to be tricky to apply. So a little bit on the inner rim. Hopefully you can see that. It makes a big difference on camera. Then brows. Now, secret, I have my brows tattooed on. Microbladed, not a permanent tattoo, but they are microbladed. Nevertheless, I like to add a little bit of pencil on top of them. This is another makeup type that I use from Rare Beauty, which is, again, Selena Gomez's brand, which I like. And I just follow my brow. Okay, a little bit of darker. If you don't normally do your brows, it is important to do them on TV because the lights will make it look like you don't have any, and you don't realize how naked your face looks if you don't have, if it doesn't look like you have brows on. Brows. It doesn't look like you have eyebrows, whether they're on or not. A little bit of pressed powder. This one is by Bobbi Brown. I use this on the areas that I find I'm a little bit more shiny. T-zone kind of. And then we're almost done. 2 more steps. I guess 3 kind of. Powder. I like to use a couple of different ones. So I use one by Laura Geller, which I absolutely love. That's great for older skin. It's called, as I put my glasses on, Double Take Baked Versatile Powder Foundation. I use one in Fair is the shade, and I just, a little bit of that all over. Then I do a little bit of her Baked Balance and Brighten, which is like a little bit bronzer. This is also Laura Geller. And then finally, something you can do, but you don't have to, is use a setting powder. This is one by Thrive Cosmetics. I mentioned I like their mascara. This is called Filtered Effects Soft Focus HD Setting Powder. And I use this in just one area. I use it on my cheeks. It has a tendency to it's quite heavy. So you don't need a lot. Otherwise, you won't be able to see your blush. You'd have to go back over it. And that's pretty much it, except for lips. I use a liner. Always use a liner for TV. Otherwise, your lips will look like, well, you'll look like you don't have any. And then fill in with whatever shade of gloss or lipstick that you like. That's it. That is my on camera getting ready. It took me approximately 19 minutes while I was explaining it to you. That's all you really need to do. The only other thing that I would suggest is if you feel like you're not fully blended, is take a blending brush and just blend in. Really probably where you'll notice it most is where you used your contour. And that's it. And now you have gotten ready for me, not for me, with me. You've gotten ready with me, not for me. That would be weird. If you have any questions, you know, to drop them into the chat, I will answer them, even if you weren't able to be here with us live. That said, It is a beautiful Saturday morning out, at least where I am. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you back here. Not necessarily same time, same place, but certainly see you on LinkedIn. Have a good one.